Hello everyone. Welcome to day 34 of 365 days live with New. I am coming to you from my office. I know it has been a while since I have been in here, but I am deciding to come on here and it is not nighttime. Surprisingly, most Mondays I get to my live at night. So I decided to take some time right now while Robert is playing his games to come on live and share something with you all today. So welcome. Let me know in the comments. Say hi if you're catching the replay or if you are catching me live. Say hello and let's get to the live. So for today, I'm going to keep saying this, but I really want to always share with you. I did not do a thumbs down. I just touched my hand, but I guess Facebook wants to do its own thing. I wanted to share with you what is going on for me recently or today, right? Because every day it is a new day, and every day we experience different emotions, different things in our life come and go. And there are some days where I am just high, like on cloud 9, like feeling great about life, about my business, about my friends, my family. And some days it's the total opposite, right? And having the gate of extremes in my conscious sun in human design, that has been hard for me to embrace. Just embracing the extremities of life or of the human potential has been hard for me. You know, I feel like I have been resisting allowing myself to be so extreme, swinging on the spectrum from this end to this end in like a split second. And so recently it's been one of those times or phases where I'm feeling a little bit more down. I'm feeling not the best, and I'm sure that I'm not the only one, right? Some days we feel great, some weeks we feel great, and then there are some that we don't. And for us, if you are a female or if you still have your cycle or you have had your cycle in the past, you understand that we are made, our bodies are different, our hormones are different than men. And I think that is so important to understand, because this world that we live in has been created for men by men. Poor connection. Okay, I think I'm back on. For men by men. And what I mean by that is that men have a 24-hour cycle. Their hormones, their cycle resets every 24 hours. And for us women, it's not like that. We have a monthly cycle. We have 4 different phases that we go through, right? Like, not that like we all don't go through even more phases than that, but the 4, if we just want to compare it very generally, is like women, we have 4 phases where for one of those weeks, let's just say a month, most of the time has 4 weeks. Most of the time is 4 weeks. And one of those weeks is we are menstruating, right? We are on our cycle. We are bleeding. And our emotions, our hormones are different the week prior to that and the week after that. And then there's the week in between that. In between those, there's 4 weeks. So our understanding that how you feel the week right before your period is going to be very different than how you feel during your period. And then after your period, you might be on a high, right? Like you're a flower, you are blooming, you're ready to do things. And then at the week after that, you feel differently. You feel like winding down. So it's so important for us women or people who have a menstrual cycle to understand this about themselves. Because again, I come from a lens of understanding yourself, and that's why I use human design as well, but also understanding your cycle, understanding that we're not always going to feel the same way. The way we feel is not consistent because our hormones are not consistent, because that's just not how we were made to be. And so ever since I understood that about myself, I was able to give myself more compassion when the time rolls around right before I'm on my period, where I'm a little more down or a little bit more irritable or emotional or insensitive, versus during the week when I actually feel like my appetite changes, right? Like just all of this is to say that when we realize that we can listen to our body and how our body feels instead of listening to what other people tell us that we should be doing, that is when we can really find the magic in how to best utilize our energy and our energy, basically, right? Because as I was saying, every week you will feel differently, and that's okay, and that's how it should be, and that's how we're wired to be for survival purposes, right? Because if you look into the cycles of a woman, there's a purpose for us to be really hungry and want to eat a lot more right before our period, because our body is ramping up, getting ready to create a baby, create life, right? And so I just think it's so fascinating. If you've never looked into cycles or understanding your cycle, or cycle syncing, if you are an entrepreneur, like syncing your cycle to your business so that you're not always feeling like you need to show up consistently the same way, having the same type of energy all the time. And when you don't, then you feel like there's something wrong with you, right? None of that. I don't want any of that. So I want to explain that and to share that, and just in case you have not looked into the cycles, the different cycles that you have. Like, I know some people explain it in terms of having a winter, a fall, a spring, and a summer cycle. Those are like the 4 phases, the 4 weeks. So that's also a very interesting way to see it. Like, I think when you are on your period, that's the winter cycle, because that's when you want to hibernate. And then after winter is going to be your spring cycle, which is the week after your cycle. And then the week after the spring would be the summer, where you're creating and maybe you're doing lots of stuff. And then there's going to be the fall or the autumn, where things are winding down and you're preparing to go to hibernate. So those are like the four weeks and the 4 seasons, per se, that we go through every single week. Okay, so if you have an irregular period, I know it's a little bit different. I can only speak from my personal experience. I have a pretty regular period, so that's how I have experienced it. And play with it, right? Don't let someone or something on the internet tell you how your cycles should be, but I think it's a good starting point for you to start becoming aware and having your own awareness and around when you feel certain ways and when your energy is higher, lower, and in between. Okay, so I wanted to share that because I was actually segueing into something else, but I got caught up in that because I think it's so important, and I've always wanted to talk about it, but I've never really sat down and make like a video about your cycle, just because I didn't like really dive into it a lot. So I'm not the expert in this field, but I just wanted to share. And I know that there's information out there, so that if you are interested in cycle syncing or just understanding more, you can look it up. But that has been something that I have been honoring in my personal journey for the past year, I would say. So yeah, I want you to try that for yourself. But that I'm sharing that to segue into what I've been feeling recently, which is just a little bit more down, a little bit more like, and this is also because I get affected by the weather. Like when it's more cloudy and more overcasted, I feel a lot less excited to do things. Like it kind of forces my body to kind of slow down. But sometimes it also makes me have the blues, where I feel like life is purposeless. Like no one, like I do get into that phase where I'm like, no one wants to be coached by me. Like what I'm doing is not important. What I have to say isn't important. But that is definitely like when I start getting into my mind. and I'm not allowing myself to just be in the blue instead of attaching meaning to why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling. So with all that being said, it's what I wanted, the main message is that I want us to honor where we are in terms of our energy and our life. And I think sometimes when we feel a certain way, I'm going to speak for myself. When I feel a certain way, I automatically attach a meaning to it. I automatically try to find why I feel that way. And I think I have such a beautiful example and model. Robert, my fiance, is like the opposite of me. And he is just so good at being in the moment. And it's as if God, the universe, brought him into my life to really help me embody and be more of that, help balance my extreme sides of things and help balance this part of me that wants to continuously make things better, right? And I feel like there's beauty in both. There's beauty in being and there's beauty in becoming. And that's something that Robert and I have been talking about a lot just because I'm very interested in it. I'm like, oh my God, like you're the being and I'm the becoming. And that's why we butt heads sometimes. And that's why I always feel like this pull to become better and do better and also help bring people up here with me. But my fiance, he's like so happy being and like so fulfilled and so it's called divine laziness. That's what Richard Rudd calls it, divine laziness. And I'm like really practicing and learning to allow myself to be when I feel like I am being and not really doing anything physically, not producing. And so that's what I've been practicing. I've been practicing allowing myself to be in whatever moment, whatever phase, whatever feeling I am in without fighting it, right? Because when we fight it, we put another layer on top of what we are already experiencing, right? It's already, for example, it's already rough enough that I am feeling kind of like in the blues. And then for me to layer on top of that another emotion of judgment. Right now we have me feeling blue and then me feeling judgment. And then on top of that, maybe I'm feeling sad that I'm judging myself for being blue. So now we have 3 layers of emotions instead of just one simple foundational layer of, hey, I'm feeling this way, right? So what I'm working through or what I am trying to get better at is to be and to allow myself to be in whatever situation I am in and feeling however I'm feeling, because it will pass. And I feel like a broken record because I've said this to myself before. And the funny thing about life is that just because you've said it to yourself one time, or just because you've realized or had an epiphany one time, that your whole life after that is going to be perfect. And that's such a lie and an illusion that that's all it takes, because we are beings of habit, creatures of habit. So we have to keep doing it, keep thinking it, keep allowing us to be allowing stuff in order for it to become habit. So I'm trying to give myself a lot of grace and compassion and practice allowing myself to be in whatever state of being I am in. And when I'm done being, I know I will naturally have the urge to go out there and do and produce and create. And then I will naturally also then be done and want to come back to just being. So just trusting that flow has been challenging for me this past week. And I'm definitely learning to navigate it, and I'm sharing it here with you because maybe you're going through the same stuff, whether it is in your career or not, right? Because I'm running my online business, so that is if you also run an online business, you might resonate with a lot of stuff that I share. But even if not, like, you have cycles, you have phases, you have energy fluctuations. Whether that's in your career, if you're not your job, your relationships, your friendships, even like your gym workouts, right? Like even simple things, you can apply it, because how we are with one aspect of our life bleeds into other aspects. Like you're not just one being with one person or with one situation and you switch. Most of the time, how you are in one area is how you are in most areas. So that's the beauty too, is that I can focus on this with my business, like allowing myself to, when I'm not feeling like creating a lot, that I can allow myself to just be in that energy of being maybe lazy or being like happy and content with what I have. That can translate and over into maybe aspects of me and my friends, and like being okay with the way things are now, even though I know there is more. And trusting in that ebb and flow of life, that there will be seasons of low and seasons of high, and to not fight it. I think that's the most important part, is to not fight it, not judge it, not label it something. And it goes back to neutrality, which is something I talked about the other day. So yeah, that is what I have for today's live. I know it went kind of all over the place, but from cycles, if you're a woman who is experiencing your menstrual cycle, into honoring your energy, honoring where you are, and not judging yourself for it, because why, right? It doesn't help when we compound emotions in a negative way, in a way that's not helpful. And when I say negative way, I mean in a way that's not helpful. All right. That is what I have for you today. Let me know in the comments what resonated for you, and if there's anything you would like to share. And I will see you tomorrow in tomorrow's live. And until then, have a beautiful rest of your day. All right. Bye.